Morning is always a very thin boundary between two ways of living, between a day pulled along by old habits and a day guided by awareness. In the moment you first open your eyes, before yesterday's memories rush back, before familiar worries appear, your mind is still soft and open like calm water at dawn. But most of us do not notice this. We wake up with the same stream of thoughts, the same fears about the future, the same feeling of not being enough, not finished, not okay. The new day has not even begun and the mind is already tired. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering does not come from circumstances. It begins with the way the mind operates, and peace is the same. It is not found in what will happen later. It is found in the very first moment you know that you are breathing. If each morning you learn to speak the right words to your own mind, not to wish for something great, but to place the mind on steady ground, your life will slowly turn in a different direction. Lighter, clearer, and more peaceful from within. Lesson 1. Today. I return to my breath. In the morning, you sit up very slowly. Your feet touch the cool floor. The room is still quiet. You can clearly hear the breath coming in and going out. There is nothing you need to do yet, no one you need to respond to. There is only the body being present. Many people open their eyes and immediately let the mind run ahead, thinking about work, thinking about money, thinking about unfinished things. When the mind runs ahead, the whole day becomes exhausting. But when the mind stays with the body, the day has a steadier place to stand. In the teachings of the Buddha, the breath is not used to control life. The breath simply reminds us that we are alive. When you know that you are breathing, you have returned to the present moment. And the present moment is always enough. So each morning before you reach for your phone, before you step out of the room, give yourself 30 seconds. Place one hand on your chest. Gently breathe in deeply. Slowly breathe out. Do this 3 times. No need to force. No need to change the rhythm of the breath. Just know that you are breathing. Whenever the mind begins to move faster than the body, remember that there is no need to fight your thoughts. Simply return to the feeling of your feet touching the ground, the feeling of your chest rising and falling, the warmth inside the body. This simple attention helps you stay grounded. You can still think. You can still make plans. But you are no longer controlled by those thoughts. They come and go like the sounds of the morning, clearly heard but not tightly held. You will begin to see that steadiness does not come from how much you accomplish. It comes from being fully present with what is happening. The breath is a gentle anchor. It does not hold you still. It simply keeps you from being carried too far away. The Buddha pointed out that the breath is a path that brings the mind back home, not to achieve something lofty, but to avoid losing yourself in the flow of life. You do not need to fix your whole life this morning. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to return to your breath. From there, every step you take through the day will naturally slow down, become clearer, and feel lighter. Lesson 2. I am not my thoughts. There are mornings when you open your eyes and immediately hear a familiar voice inside your head. That voice speaks of not having enough money, of an uncertain future, of old mistakes. The body is still resting, but the mind has already begun to judge itself. The new day has not yet opened, and the weight is already there. Many people believe those thoughts are who they are. They listen to every sentence in their head and let it guide the entire day. One negative thought can pull in 10 more. Little by little, the mind becomes crowded and heavy without anyone noticing. In the teachings of the Buddha, there is a very important distinction. The mind is not the thoughts. Thoughts are only phenomena that come and go, like clouds moving across the sky. Clouds can be thick or thin, bright or dark, but the sky is not harmed by the clouds. When you see this, you begin to create space between yourself and your thoughts. You do not need to push them away. You do not need to believe them. You only need to notice that they are appearing. This simple seeing is enough to create safety. Each morning when a worried or self-critical thought arises, quietly say inside yourself, thinking. Just that. No analysis, No argument, no fixing. Simply acknowledge it. Then gently return to the feeling of your body lying on the bed, the breath moving in and out. This practice keeps you from being carried away. Thoughts can still come, but they no longer have control over you. You become the observer instead of the one being pulled along. A sense of lightness begins to appear from this very small awareness. There is a saying often mentioned in Buddhism that we are what we think. But this does not mean we are trapped by our thoughts. It reminds us that when we fully believe our thoughts, we become their victims. When we see thoughts clearly, we have the freedom to choose. Morning is when the mind is still soft. If you learn not to identify yourself with thoughts at this moment, the whole day will feel different. You can still think. You can still make plans, but you are no longer dragged by every sentence in your head. This morning you do not need complete silence. You only need not to believe everything you think. Just remember that you are the one who is seeing, not what is being seen. From that moment, the new day begins more lightly. This morning I am not pulled away by a single thought in my mind. Lesson 3. I choose compassion for myself. Many people begin the morning by forcing themselves to get up while still tired. As soon as they open their eyes, they criticize themselves for not being good enough, fast enough, successful enough. The day has not yet arrived, but the mind is already tight like a stretched string. Starting this way turns the entire day into a quiet escape from oneself. There is a silent belief that to be in control of life, one must be harsh with oneself, that one must push forward even when feeling empty and exhausted inside. But in the teachings of the Buddha, true mastery is not born from tension. No one heals with a whip. When we strike ourselves with words and thoughts, the heart only closes to protect itself. Mastery in the spirit of mindfulness is the courage to stay with oneself. It is recognizing fatigue without denying it, seeing mistakes without humiliating oneself. When you choose compassion, you are not giving up. You are simply stopping the creation of further harm. In the morning, if you feel heavy, pause for a moment. Place one hand on your heart. Feel the warmth in your chest. Then gently say a very simple sentence. May I be at peace. May my heart feel light. No need for strong emotion. No need for absolute belief. Just allow these words to touch you. When you offer kindness to yourself, the nervous system begins to soften. The breath slows down. The body is no longer in a fighting posture. From this state, you truly regain the ability to choose how you will live today. Gentleness does not make you weak. It gives you a steady ground from which to move forward. The Buddha taught that hatred cannot be ended by hatred. Only love can end hatred. This is also true within the inner world. When you treat yourself with harshness, you grow inner conflict. When you treat yourself with love, a sense of ease begins to appear. Compassion does not remove all difficulties, but it keeps you from collapsing under them. When you no longer fight against, your self-energy is released. It becomes clarity, patience, and endurance. This gentle choice each morning slowly changes how you see life, how you see others, and how you see yourself, making the long journey easier and your heart less depleted. This morning, you can choose to be in control by softening, not by abandoning responsibility, but by supporting yourself as you walk. Within this choice, there is a strength that lasts a long time. Compassion is the most enduring strength. Lesson 4. Today, I live with a clear intention. When a morning begins without intention, the day is pulled along. Like a boat without a rudder, it drifts with the current. When the wind comes, it turns. When the waves rise, it sways. Many people live entire days in this state, not because they are lazy, but because they have not yet chosen how they want to live. At its deepest level, intention is not ambition. It does not demand that you become someone great. Intention is simply the direction the mind turns toward. When you have an intention, even small tasks during the day have a point of support. Without intention, everything easily becomes tiring and confusing. The Buddha did not teach people to chase endless desires. He taught them to clearly know what they are doing and why they are doing it. Intention is the seed of action. A seed planted in the morning nourishes the entire day. If you are not used to setting an intention, begin very gently. You can choose one of three simple things. Live a little slower. Speak a little more kindly. Or do one meaningful thing. One is enough. Living a little slower does not mean delaying. It simply means not letting the mind run faster than the body. Speaking more kindly does not mean pleasing everyone. It means not causing further harm. Doing one meaningful thing does not have to be big. One thing done with wholeness is enough to nourish the heart. In the morning, when you stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself with gentle eyes. Then quietly say one sentence. Today I live with kindness and steadiness. No need to say it out loud. As you repeat this intention, the mind begins to recognize the direction. Choices throughout the day naturally shift. You pause sooner before reacting. You remember the intention just before speaking in haste. Intention does not control you. It reminds you. There is a teaching in meditation that you become what you practice each day. Not what you wish for, but what you repeatedly return to. Intention does not guarantee that today will be free of difficulty, but it keeps you from getting lost in difficulty. It is like a lamp. It does not remove all darkness, but it is enough to show you the next step. In the morning, you do not need to decide your entire life. You only need to decide how you will step into today. When the intention is lit, everything else falls into place more easily. Intention is a guiding light. Lesson 5. I take one small step with mindfulness. In daily life, there are many repeated tasks that seem unimportant. Washing dishes after a meal, going to work each morning, replying to a familiar message. Because they are familiar, we often do them very quickly. The hands are working, but the mind is already somewhere else. And then we feel tired without knowing why. Many people believe that to go far, they must do more. Try harder. Push past their limits every day. But that way of living soon drains energy. In the teachings of the Buddha, progress is not measured by how much more you do. It is measured by how present you are with what you are doing. Taking one small step does not mean forcing yourself. It simply means adding a little more awareness to what is already there. When washing dishes, know the feeling of your hands in the water. Know the sound of the bowls and plates. When going to work, know your feet touching the ground. When replying to a message, know what you are saying and why you are saying it. This presence does not slow you down in a negative way. It reduces wasted energy. When body and mind move together, you do not need to pull yourself back. You are already here. Today, you do not need to change your entire schedule. Just choose one familiar task. Do it 10% slower, 10% more carefully. Not to be perfect, but to be more fully present. If it is washing dishes, feel the temperature of the water, the shape of the bowl, the movement of your hands. If it is going to work, walk one step slower. Notice the light, the surrounding sounds. If it is replying to a message, read more carefully. Respond with true attention. When you do one thing with mindfulness, the mind is no longer scattered. You do not need long rest because you are not being drained. Fatigue often comes from being too far from the present moment, not from doing too much. There is a teaching often mentioned that many small drops of water fill a jar. Not rare large drops, but small, steady ones. Each time you do something with presence, you add another drop to your inner steadiness. Endurance does not need to be loud. It does not need to be seen. It lives in how you do very small things each day. When you take one small step with mindfulness, you do not move faster, but you go farther without exhaustion. This morning, you do not need to promise big things. Just choose one task. Stay with it a little longer. In that simplicity, you are building a very strong foundation. Endurance does not come from excessive effort. It comes from gentle consistency, and endurance is always found in small things. Lesson 6. I plant goodness and let it bloom in its own season. Some people begin the day by asking what they will receive today. Money, recognition, good fortune. But in the teachings of the Buddha, the flow of life does not begin with receiving. It begins with planting. Planting here does not mean making great sacrifices. It simply means how you show up in the world through body, speech, and mind. A kind word, a timely action, a thought that does not cause harm. These small things create what is called merit. Merit is not a reward given from outside. Merit is an invisible support that makes the path you walk less rough. When you live with kind speech, wholesome actions, and gentle thoughts, your mind becomes lighter. The relationships around you soften. Opportunities come to you more naturally, not because someone grants them to you, but because you are living in harmony with the flow of life. Many people think that helping others means losing something, but in truth, each time you give, sincerely, you are opening your heart wider. When the heart is open, life has more space to enter. Wealth in the spirit of Buddhism is not measured by how much you accumulate. It is measured by how much support you receive from within and from around you. You can plant goodness in very simple ways. Help someone who is in need. Speak kindly to someone who irritates you. Do your work with honesty and care. These actions do not need to be seen by anyone, but your mind knows, and your mind remembers. Each morning, you can set a very small intention. Today, I will do one thing that is helpful to someone else. It might be sending a message of care, yielding the way when you are in a hurry, supporting a colleague without expecting recognition. One act is enough to plant a wholesome seed. When you plant without demanding results, your mind does not tense up. You do not wait anxiously for outcomes. You trust that every seed has its own timing. Some things bloom quickly, some require patience, but no seed is ever lost. In the teaching of cause and effect, there is a simple image. Like a shadow follows form, results follow causes. What you do through body, speech, and mind leaves traces. Those traces become circumstances. They become the people you meet. They become the path you walk. When you understand this, you worry less about what you must achieve. You focus instead on planting what is right. A little each day, without rushing, without forcing. A sense of ease begins to arise when you know you are living in the right direction. This morning, you do not need to promise anything big. Just plant one good thing, then allow it to bloom in its own season. Life does not forget what you give. What you give will return in some form. Lesson 7. I turn stumbles into lessons. There are mornings when the mind feels heavy the moment you open your eyes. You have not even sat up yet, but already feel behind. Unfinished plans, unfulfilled promises, and quiet comparisons cause the new day to begin with a sense of failure. In that moment, many people want to avoid it or blame themselves. Failure then becomes a familiar fear from the very start of the morning. In the teachings of the Buddha, life is seen as a flow of impermanence. No state remains fixed forever. There are days of blooming, and there are days of still wind. Life has seasons, and not every day is meant to flower. When you understand this, you become less afraid when you stumble. You no longer see failure as an ending. You begin to see it as part of the path. In Buddhism, suffering is not denied. Suffering is looked at directly so learning can arise. It is through moments of discouragement that a person grows deeper. It is through difficult experiences that wisdom matures. What matters is not avoiding suffering, but how you move through it. Each morning, you can ask yourself one very simple question. What did yesterday teach me? This question is not meant to reopen mistakes. It simply creates space to reflect. Yesterday may have taught you more patience. It may have taught you to rest earlier. It may have reminded you not to place expectations too high. When you are able to draw out one lesson, the mind no longer sinks into self-blame. You step into the new day with just enough understanding. In the Four Noble Truths, there is a deeply human truth that within suffering, there is a path out of suffering. This does not mean you must like pain. It simply reminds you that pain is not meaningless. If you pause and learn from it, suffering will not repeat itself in the same way. Each stumble is a form of guidance. If you listen, it will show you what needs adjustment. Growth does not come from always winning. It comes from the ability to rise again with deeper understanding. When you stop running from failure, it no longer controls you. You begin to use each stumble as a step. Little by little, you move upward through your own lived experience. This morning, you do not need to prove anything. You only need to honestly look back at yesterday. When you learn one thing, that day is not lost. It becomes the ground for the next step. Each day has meaning when something is taken from it. Lesson 8. I am patient. I continue. Many people give up not because they are weak, but because they expect results too quickly. They plant a seed today and want to see a full-grown tree tomorrow. When nothing seems to change, they begin to doubt themselves and stop. Morning then begins with impatience and disappointment. In nature, nothing grows in a hurry. A seed needs time resting in the soil. It needs darkness, water, and sunlight at the right moments. If you pull the plant up to make it grow faster, you only break the roots. Life is the same. True transformation is not loud. It happens quietly, day by day. In the teachings of the Buddha, the path of practice is not a path of quick results. It is a path of continuation. A little each day, returning again and again. No need to do much. Just do not stop. So give yourself a gentle discipline, not forceful, not perfect. Each day, only 5 minutes. 5 minutes to say the morning phrases. 5 minutes to breathe slowly. 5 minutes to remind yourself that you are moving in the right direction. Just 5 minutes is enough to keep the flame alive. You can choose a 30-day cycle for yourself. 30 consecutive mornings. No need for big expectations. Just be present. If one day you forget or miss it, do not blame yourself. Do not say you failed. Simply return the next day. Returning matters more than never making a mistake. Patience does not mean enduring tension. Patience is trusting that what you are doing has meaning even if you do not see results yet. When you continue with a gentle attitude, your mind does not wear down. You do not burn yourself to move fast. You preserve enough energy to go far. There is a saying often mentioned in Buddhism that no one saves us but ourselves. This does not carry heavy blame. It simply reminds us that this path requires our own steps. No one can walk it for us. But we do not need to run. We only need to walk steadily. After 30 days, you may begin to notice very small changes. The mind is less agitated. Reactions slow down. The heart softens. After 60 days, consistency becomes habit. After 90 days, others may sense a difference in you. Not because you try to show it, but because you have changed from within. This morning, you do not need to ask when you will be finished. You only need to ask whether you will continue. Each time you choose to continue, you place another brick in a solid foundation. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is trust walking together with action. When you continue each day, even in small ways, that trust slowly takes shape. And patience is trust with a form. Lesson 9. I protect my mind from noise. The modern world wakes up very early. News moves without stopping. Social media opens endless stories. Comparison begins before your feet even touch the floor. Others seem to be doing better, moving faster, living more fulfilled lives. Your mind is pulled into that current before it has a chance to stand firmly. Many people do not realize that their exhaustion does not come from work. It comes from the mind being invaded too early. Too many images, too many opinions, too many emotions that do not belong to them. When the mind has not yet settled but must absorb everything, the new day becomes heavy. In the spirit of Buddhism, the mind is compared to a house. You do not open your door to just anyone. You choose, you consider, you protect your living space. The mind is the same. Not all information needs to enter. Not every opinion needs to be heard. Without discernment, the mind becomes a place where anxiety, fear, and dissatisfaction take residence. These things come from outside, but stay inside for a long time. Slowly, you lose the ability to tell which feelings are truly yours and which are borrowed from the world. Morning is when the mind is still soft. If you allow noise to rush in at this moment, the whole day becomes unsettled. So practice something very simple. For the first 10 minutes after waking, no social media, no news, no comments, only the body, the breath, and real space. During these 10 minutes, you can sit quietly, make tea, look at the light outside the window, or simply breathe. You are setting a boundary, not to escape the world, but to prepare a stable inner ground before stepping into it. When the mind has a foundation, what comes later will not easily shake you. You can still read the news, still listen to stories, but you are no longer swept away by every emotion. You do not need to close your mind. You only need a gatekeeper. In meditation, there's a beautiful image. Keep the mind like a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper does not chase everything away. They simply observe and decide what is allowed to enter. With this awareness, your mind is no longer a place where anything can walk in. Peace is not a silent world. The world will never be silent. Peace comes from the mind's ability to choose. When you know what to let in and what to leave out, you can live in noise without being consumed. This morning, you do not need to change your entire life. You only need to protect the first 10 minutes. From those 10 minutes, a different day begins. Peace does not come from a silent world, but from a discerning mind. Lesson 10. I am grateful and I step forward. Gratitude is often misunderstood as trying to see everything positively while still feeling tired inside. But in the spirit of Buddhism, gratitude is not forced optimism. Gratitude is seeing what is quietly supporting you right now. When you are still breathing, when light still enters the room, when there is a path ahead to walk. These are already the things lifting you each day. Many people wait for life to change before allowing themselves peace. They believe that when difficulties end, when there is more abundance, when everything is stable, then they can finally feel at ease. But the Buddha did not teach waiting. He taught seeing clearly. When you see clearly what is already here, the mind begins to soften. And from that softness, you gain the ability to walk in the right direction. Each morning, you can practice 2 very simple steps. The first step is to name 3 small things you are grateful for. It might be the morning light, the steady rhythm of your breath, a loved one nearby, an opportunity to begin again. It does not need to be something big. Something small but true reaches deeper. When you name these things, the mind no longer focuses only on what is lacking. It begins to recognize life as it is unfolding. From there, a sense of ease appears, not because everything is finished, but because you are no longer unaware of what is present. The second step is to choose one courageous action for today. Courage does not mean doing something grand. Sometimes it is simply making a call you have been avoiding, a decision you have been postponing, a necessary task you need to complete. This action is how you move forward with gratitude rather than remaining still in pleasant feelings. When you combine gratitude with action, life begins to move in a different direction. You are no longer stuck in waiting. You become someone actively participating in your own life. Gratitude gives you the ground. Courage gives you the step. In the teachings of the Buddha, there is a very simple line that peace is the path, not the destination, not a final reward. Peace exists in each step you take when the mind is no longer resisting reality. This morning, you do not need to wait for life to change. You only need to change how you step into the new day. When you are grateful for what is and brave enough to do what is needed, the person you are becoming begins to show itself more clearly. I do not wait for life to change. I change how I walk each day. It is not a miracle. It is simply a return each morning, a return to the breath, a return to the body, a return to the living mind. When you begin the day this way, you do not force life to change. You only change how you step into today. All it takes is planting the right words in your mind. Each day, the direction shifts a little, not loudly, not suddenly, but enough for the path to grow lighter over time. Tomorrow, when you wake up, do not reach for your phone right away. Sit quietly. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. Repeat 3 times. Then say one sentence you have chosen. Just one sentence is enough to set the direction for the whole day. If you would like me to continue creating the Morning Word series for 5 minutes each day, please press like and subscribe to Walk Together, and leave a comment as a promise to yourself. This morning, it is not a miracle. It is simply a return each morning, a return to the breath, a return to the body, a return to the living mind. When you begin the day this way, you do not force life to change. You only change how you step into today. All it takes is planting the right words in your mind. Each day, the direction shifts a little, not loudly, not suddenly, but enough for the path to grow lighter over time. Tomorrow, when you wake up, do not reach for your phone right away. Sit quietly, breathe in deeply, breathe out slowly, repeat 3 times, then say one sentence you have chosen. Just one sentence is enough to set the direction for the whole day. If you would like me to continue creating the Morning Word series for 5 minutes each day, please press like and subscribe to Walk Together, and leave a comment as a promise to yourself. This morning,